Hello everyone, I'm Siddharthan. In the previous videos, we have seen how we can deploy our machine learning model in the form of a API. And while working on this, we have deployed these APIs on our local host, and we have used like a NGRock in order to make this as a public URL and so on. So deploying your API in NGRock is a temporary solution. So it won't be like you won't be getting a permanent link for this. And the solution for this will be deploying these APIs on Heroku. So this is what we are going to discuss in this particular video, where we already have this machine learning model ready, which is this diabetes prediction model. And in the previous videos, we have seen how we can create this APIs using FastAPI libraries in Python. So we are going to use the same code and we are going to deploy this API on Heroku, and that will be the agenda for today's session. And let's get started. So if you haven't watched the previous video, I strongly suggest you to watch those, because in that case you can understand these things better, and I'll give the link for those videos in this video description. Okay. So this is where we are going to create our new app. So new app in the sense we are going to create this in the form of an API. Okay. So we are going to use Heroku and GitHub for this. So we will put all our required files in a GitHub repository, and then we will connect this GitHub repository to our Heroku ID. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. And first of all, let me show you what are all the files required. So I have a folder created in my desktop called ML API in Heroku. Okay, so these are all the files that we have. So first file is diabetes underscore model dot sav. So this is the saved model file, and in the previous video I have shown you how you can create this. Okay, so that is a Google Colab notebook where we have written this code, where this is the diabetes prediction data set diabetes.csv, and using this data we will train our diabetes model. Okay, so all you have to do is go to this Google Colab link. I'll try to give the link for this Colab file as well. So here you can go to this files and upload this diabetes.csv file. Okay, so I'll also give the link for this dataset file. So from here I'm going to upload this. So this is also present in my desktop, which is diabetes.csv. So I'll upload this one. So this is uploaded. My system is also connected. Now just go to this runtime and run all the cells. So at the bottom we have done some coding in order to save this as a pickle file. So here you can see we are using this pickle library in order to save this as diabetes model.scv. So if you go here, you can see this file, and from this option you can download this file. Okay, so this diabetes model.scv file. Okay, so you can download this. So once you have downloaded this, just create a folder like this and put this model file in this particular directory, and then we have this main.py. So this is where our Python code is for creating our API. So I have already opened this file. So this is main.py. Okay, and in the first part we are importing all the required libraries. So we have like done this in the previous video itself. So we are importing fast API, and then like pydantic, from this pydantic model we are importing base model, and then pickle for loading our saved model, and JSON. So I'll tell you why we are using this JSON base model and this CORS middleware. So we are creating this app is equal to fast API. So the only difference in this code is we wouldn't have mentioned this particular part. Okay, so origin is equal to, so we have this asterisk symbol. So the main idea of deploying our machine learning model in the form of API is that it will be easier for us to connect our UI. Okay, so the final result that you get from this API is a URL, and let's say that there is a beautiful UI that you have created using some UI tools like Node.js or React or something like that, and in that you have like input fields where the user can give in the values like the pregnancy value, glucose value, blood pressure things, and so on. Okay, and these values should be posted to our API in the form of a JSON file, and if you don't mention this, that particular UI domain won't be having access for our API. So that's the reason. So CORS means cross origin resource sharing. Okay, and when you mention this asterisk, like it is permitted for everyone, but in real time, in this case you will mention the domain on which this UI is built, so that those particular people can only access your API. So that's the idea. So if you don't mention this, so you will get a CORS error in your UI. So that's the reason. And once we are like done with this, so here we are creating this instance of this fast API in the name of app, and then we are creating this like base model class. So in the name of this class is model input. So the reason for this is we are like telling the API, or we are telling the UI person that These are all the details that I want. So this is the format in which I need the data. Okay, so you can see this is in the form of a dictionary. So it's like mentioning what is the format of the dictionary that I need. Okay, so in real time how this works is we will get this data, the pregnancy number, glucose value, blood pressure, all these things in the form of a JSON file, okay, or a JSON object. So this will be posted to our API, and in the next step we are loading our saved model, which is diabetes underscore model dot sav, and make sure that all these files are in the same directory. So here I have this diabetes model, and then I have this main.py file, and so on. So here I am loading this saved model and loading this to a variable called as diabetes model. So this is a trained model that we saved from here. Okay, so from this particular collab file which we have downloaded. And in the next step, this is the post method that we are using for this API, and this is the endpoint. Okay, so along with the URL that will be generated for you, you have to include this endpoint, and after that we have to post this data. So once this data has been posted, so this data will be converted into a dictionary in these steps. Okay, so once this has been converted, we are like extracting all the values individually. So this pregnancy value, so this is a dictionary now, and from this dictionary we are getting this pregnancy value, glucose value, and so on, and storing these variables. Later we are putting all these things in a list, and then we are using these values in order to predict whether that person has diabetes or not, using this model dot predict function. Okay, and if the prediction is 0, it says the person is not diabetic. If the prediction is 1, we have to say the person is diabetic, because that's how we have like labeled these data. So if you go to this collab file, you can see this here. So 0 has been labeled as non-diabetic, and 1 has been labeled as diabetic person. So this is how this API works. So we have like discussed this in the previous videos as well. So I hope that you have watched that one as well. Now we have to upload this file along with like few other files to our GitHub. So I'll show you. The next file that we have is proc file. So I'll explain you what this proc file later. So first is the diabetes model, which is the saved model file, and then we have the Python file for creating this API. Basically the fast API that we have used, and then requirements.txt. So this is a simple file which contains all the libraries that we have used. Okay, so we have this fast API, UVCon, Pydantic. So from Pydantic only we are like importing this base model, and then we have pickle 5 for loading our saved model, and then scikit-learn and numpy. So I just wanted to include these basic libraries as well. So I'll save this file. So if you want, you can also mention the versions of this files. So let's say if you wanted to install the fast API version of 1.3 point or something like that, so you just have to mention 2 equal to sign and put something like 1.2.3. So this particular fast API will be installed. So in this case I'm not going to put any versions. So I'll save this. So this is the next file that we need, which is requirements.txt. Make sure you are naming this as the same thing. And finally, we have this runtime.txt file. So it basically contains the version of your Python. Okay, so this version of your Python will be installed on your Heroku deployment session. So that's why we are mentioning this. So this should also be same Python hyphen. So you can mention any version that you want. Okay, so this is the other thing. So I'll put all these files in a Google Drive, and I'll share you the link of that particular Google Drive folder. Okay, so you can download these files. I'll also put these things in a GitHub repository. I'll share the repository link as well. So these are all the things that we need. And finally, we have this proc file. So this is very, very important for Heroku. So here I have created a file called as procfile.txt, which is a simple like a text file, a notepad file. So I'll open this. So this should be the same. So this like won't change. So we have this web UVCon main app. So main is the Python file that we have created, and app is what we have mentioned here. So it is the instance of this fast API. So this won't change. Okay, so you have to create the same proc file in a text, in a txt file, and we have to save this. So web is nothing but we are mentioning that this is kind of a web app, and so this is Procfile is a special file that we have in like Unix OS and things like that, where it tells the system that what kind of process and system that I'm trying to create or work on. So here we are trying to create some kind of a web app, as a API. So that's why like we are mentioning this. So you don't have to worry much about it. So just copy the same thing, and you can just put it in a txt file. And once you have like created this txt file, go to this file and give save as, and in this save as I'll go to my desktop and just remove this extension. So there shouldn't be any extension. Okay, so it should be just proc file. So now I can save this. So it will give me a warning at as like it already exists. Do you want to replace it? So this is the file that it is like mentioning. So I'll just replace this. I'll close this one. Okay, so let me just do one thing. I'll copy this and delete this file. So again, the name of this file should also be the same. So I'll create a new text file from here. So text document, I'm going to name this as proc file. And here I'll paste what I copied. So now I'll save this as txt. Again, I think it will give me a error. Or let me just rename this. Um, Let me put this as text file and copy the content in it. And I'll save another copy as proc file. So without any extension. So P should be caps. See? Okay, so this has created this as procfile.txt. Okay, so the problem is we again have this extension. So I'll just remove this from this rename, option. So I'll go to this rename and I'll remove this .txt. Okay, so this will create a proc file. So I'll give yes here. So you cannot open this now. So this is the file that we need, and this is the file that is currently present in this particular folder. So which is this proc file. Okay, so we have this diabetes underscore model.sav, which is the saved model, and the Python file for creating this API proc file, which is like needed for Heroku to know that this is some kind of a API that we are creating, and requirements.txt for mentioning all the libraries that we need, and finally runtime, which basically contains your Python version. So these five files are the things that we need for deploying this API, and the deployment is like very much easier in Heroku. So I'll go to my GitHub, first create a repository. So in your home page, you can see this new option. So I'll give this new, and I'll name this, repository as API for ML Heroku. So let this be the name. So you can give any name, and I'll give a description as deploying ML model API in Heroku. Now, so you can have this as public or private, so anything you want. And later I'm not going to create readme files and all those things. So I'll just create this repository. So once this repository is created, we can add the file. So here you can see create a new file or uploading an existing file. So I'm going to upload existing files. So here from I'll go to this desktop and this ML API in Heroku. So these are all the files that I need, right? So I'll choose all these files and upload all these files here. So these files should be uploaded here. So if you are, you can also like use a different model. The procedure kind of remains the same. Okay, so for any use cases that you are working on, so you have to build your model separately and save that model, create this API file, proc file requirement.txt and runtime.txt. Okay, so after that we can commit this changes. Now all these files will be uploaded to our repository. Okay, so yeah, so this is the repository that we have. Now I'll go to my Heroku. So the main thing that you have to note here is the account or email ID that you have used for creating this GitHub account should be the same which you are using for this Heroku. So then only you can like connect these two GitHub account and the Heroku. So then only this Heroku session can access your files from your directory. So don't use like two different mail IDs for creating accounts in GitHub and Heroku. So that's very important. So once you have created this account, so you have this home page from where you can give this create a new app. Okay, so if you couldn't access this, just go to this dashboard.heroku.com/apps after signing in. Okay, so I'll give this create new app. So I'm not going in detail about how to sign up and sign in. Okay, so all those things. So here we have to name our applications. So I'll name this as YAML API Heroku. So you can just you cannot like use underscore and all those things. So you can just use a hyphen. Okay. So I'll put this as ML API Heroku. So it is not available. So like this should be a unique name. Okay, so let's try different names, or I'll give this as ML model as API Heroku. Yeah, so this is available. So ML hyphen model hyphen API and Heroku. So here you have like two options. So you can just go with United States and you can create this app. Now here you have like these three options, so you can either connect all these things using like Heroku CLI, this command line interface, or you can use GitHub accounts, or you can use this. So the easiest way is to put all the files in a GitHub repository as we have did, and connect our repository to this Heroku. So that's the most easier way. So I'm going to give this connect to GitHub. Okay, so this will get connected, and this is the account. So this is nothing but the account that I have in GitHub. So if not, you just have to connect to it. And repository name, so here mention the repository that we have created, which is API for ML. So you don't have to give this complete name, so I can just say API for and give this search. So it will give you all related repository in your account. So it gives me Siddharthan 23 slash API for ML Heroku. So this is the repository that we have created. Now I can give this connect. Okay, so this is to access all the files in that repository. So you can mention the branch. So I don't have any other branches here, so I just have this main branch. So if you wanted to keep all these things, all these files separately and create a new branch, just go here and create a new branch. So you can just name this branch as anything, and you can mention that specific branch here. So I'll just go with the main branch itself. So once this is connected, you can give this enable automatic deploys, and after that give this deploy branch. So this is where the deployment starts. Okay, so here all the libraries that you have mentioned in your requirement.txt gets installed, and we have this runtime.txt, right? So the Python version that you mentioned will get installed. So you can see, so here it says installing Python 3.96. So here you can see, so using Python version specified in runtime.txt. So this is what, so this is why we have created this runtime file, and all the libraries will be installed. So we have like Pickle 5, Pydantic, FastAPI, and so on. So all this libraries will get installed. We just have to wait like for a few minutes. So if you have like several libraries and large libraries, this will probably take some time. In this case, it will probably take a minute or two, so not more than that. And finally we will get our URL, and we can use this URL, and we can post data to this URL, and understand whether that person is having diabetes or not. So this is how all these things is going to work. Okay, yeah, so this is the URL for this. So you can copy it here. There is also another way, so I'll show that to you. So we will get a notification once this process is completed. And so for creating account, just go to Google, search Heroku. So this is the link. So www.heroku.com. So Heroku Cloud Application Platform. Yeah, so now our API has been deployed. Now I can give this a view. So this will take me to the URL that is generated. Here it says detail not found because it won't work all alone. So we have to post some data to this API. So I'll copy this URL. So ML model API Heroku, which is the name of the app that we have created. So I'll close this now. After copying the link, now I'll go to this file API implementation. So this is also something that we have done in the previous videos. So this is the local host URL that is generated for us for creating this API. So I'll paste this here. So this is the public URL that we have now. Okay, so this is the endpoint that we have. So this is the file that we have discussed, right? So here we have created the endpoint as diabetes underscore prediction. So you can also have different endpoint names, but you have, like, you should mention the same endpoint name here as well. Now how this works is, this is the URL for this API, and this is the data that I am posting to this API. So pregnancy value is 1, glucose value is 85, 66, and so on. So this is what we call as post API. And how we are posting this is in the form of a dictionary now, but API accepts the data in the form of a JSON. So we have to convert this dictionary into a JSON object, and this is what we are doing here using this JSON.dumps. Okay, so we are taking this input data for model, and then we are converting into a JSON object using this JSON library. Okay, and here also we will be using this JSON library, so we are importing it, but we don't have to mention this in our requirements.txt because this is a basic library in Python, so it will already be installed. So we don't have to mention that. And we are using this request module, request library. We are going to post this data, which is input JSON, to this URL. So this URL is nothing but the Heroku URL that we have got. So this is for the person who doesn't have diabetes. So I'll open this diabetes.csv file, and you can see, so 185. So this is the data point that we have. The outcome is 0. That means it should say that this person is not diabetic, right? So this is the data that we have, and let's see. So I'll run this, and here we will get the result as whether the person is diabetic or not. So here you can see, so it just gives me the result in a couple of seconds. So now you can change this to another data point. So let me open this again. So if you put these values, so it will tell that person is diabetic, because we can see the outcome is 1. So this is a trained model, and we are using it now. This URL, uh, anyone can access it. Okay, so once you have deployed this URL, you probably give this to a person who is building UI for you, and that person will like integrate this URL in their UI, and they will post the data to you. So your role is to work on this API. Okay, and you will get these values from the UI part. So let's say there are like multiple input fields, and the person is giving all these values. So once they click the submit, this data should come to you, and based on the model that we have trained here, we will like predict whether the person is diabetic or not. So this is how the whole thing works. So this is how we can create this public URL using Heroku. Okay, and there are some errors. You can see those errors in this more. So if there are some errors, like if you give this view, so it will tell you that there are some errors, and for understanding what that particular error is, you have to go to this more and give this view logs. And here it stores all the logs. So it tells like we have created this API and so on. So all these things comes. Okay, so for now I'll just go to this overview itself. So this is how all these things work. So I just wanted to mention a couple of things. So in like in a production environment or real time, so we won't be using this kind of a course. So when we say asterisk, as I've told you, this is for telling that anyone can access your API. So here we will mention specific domains. Or the other way to protect your API is we will generate some keys for your API. So the person who has the key for your API only can access it. So this is more secured way, right? So for now we don't have to worry about this, as this is just for exploring this APIs and stuff like that. Okay, so that's it from my side. I'll just give you a quick recap of what we have done in a overview. Okay, so in this file we are creating this API using this FastAPI module, and we are mentioning the format in which we need the data. Okay, so here you can see we are sending the data in the same format. So this Python file is to just emulate what we are going to do in the UI screen, so where we are going to pass all these values. So instead of creating the UI screen, I'm doing this in the Python itself. Okay, so we are creating this post API with the input diabetes underscore prediction, and we are loading this saved diabetes model. So once we get this data, we are processing it so that we can feed this data to a trained model, and it can predict whether the label is 0 or 1. Once the label is 0, it says the person is not diabetic. If the label is 1, it says the person is diabetic. So the files that we need are this saved model file, Python file for creating our API, proc file which says this web, and this like specifications and things like that. And we have this requirement.txt mentioning all the libraries that we need, and finally runtime.txt, which contains the Python version that needs to be installed on Heroku. So we just have to create a repository in GitHub, put all these files here, and in Heroku connect your GitHub account. So give a name for your API, give the region as either UK or US, and connect your GitHub account. And finally you can just give this automatic deploy. So you have to enable that and deploy the branch, and within few minutes your API will be deployed, and you can use that particular link either in your UI, or you can just create a different Python file like this, and you can work on it. Okay, so I hope you have understood all the things covered in this video. So I'll also give the link for this particular Python file itself, and you will have access to all the files that we have worked on. So please try to build a API of your own. So just watching the videos probably might not help. So I suggest you to take a different model. So here we have used a diabetes model, right? So similarly take a different model and try to replicate the same thing, and try to create this API on Heroku. Okay, so yeah, so that's it from my side, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.